headed into meeting number 1. First meeting of the day. Welcome back to today's video, guys. So, I just spent the last 2 hours trying to get a new modem and router to work with a new hard drive. It was very frustrating. I had to call our internet service provider in there, and then I had to call support for the router that I got just to get the hard drive to work. And I really got it though because, or I guess I upgraded the internet, one, because yes, a lot of my interviews are recorded via Wi-Fi, just internet, so having a very strong and stable connection is actually pretty important. Hopefully going forward there will be no more issues, no more stuttering, and I don't have to say, due to technical difficulties, this episode is blah 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 blah. So here's looking forward to that. Anyhow, that's not at all the point for this video. I actually wanted to take some time to talk about, practicing speaking and the reasoning behind all of that. But to get into it, I wanted to go ahead and pull out a portion or an excerpt of an old essay that I wrote. This is a little over a year ago, or about maybe a little bit less than a year ago. I forget. It's a little while ago that I wrote this, and it's about meditation. I think the actual article is called Meditation and the Art of Letting Go. So here's that, and then I'll get into it in a little bit. Lately, I've been letting myself get bogged down with the little stress thoughts, like, why did I spend so many years in school? And how am I going to lose these last few pounds? I call them stress thoughts because those are recurring subjects that I've allowed to stress me out. I didn't have any plans when applying for a university, didn't make any while taking classes, and didn't think about employment until the last semester of my final year. That is incredibly irresponsible and expensive. Don't be that guy. The reasons behind that irresponsibility will be explored in a later post. They never were. But the point is that I've let it get to me ever since. While I did find employment, I found myself a wonderful career in the fulfilling industry that is insurance and remained there for 2 years. 2 years throughout which I grew increasingly depressed and began losing my hair while still in my early 20s. I needed to do something, but I didn't want to just quit my job with no other plans. I began looking for resources to manage the stress in my life, but I didn't want to spend much more money since I was paying down student loans and didn't want to have to go to some retreat or hire a therapist. After an afternoon of caffeine and Google, I stumbled upon two blogs, The Minimalists and Zen Habits. One idea that popped out was a focus on meditation and how practicing it could not only help reduce stress, but actually help you to feel more content with life. I'd practiced meditation in the past. My grandmother was a Buddhist nun and taught all of us grandkids to meditate when we were in primary school. She was really good at keeping us quiet and attentive, now that I think about it. And when we later took on wushu lessons, which is another word for kung fu, we meditated for 10 minutes at the end of each class. That's a really short excerpt. I didn't feel like reading the entire thing. I probably could have, actually. I began reading that, and it was like a deep dive back into my own history, like my thought process, and remembering where I was when I wrote that essay. I mean, a lot of my essays, I guess, were actually narrative journal form entries rather than more. I'm not a very intellectual person. My brain does not go that way. But anyways, it was a very interesting thought process that I'd had running through my mind and how I was holding on to things. But this video actually isn't related to meditation or the art of letting go. It's related to speaking. So you know that feeling how when you're talking to someone and you have this conversation, it's really great, they're bringing up all these good points, and then you have this feeling that you know of something that would be really good to say, but you don't really have the words for it, so you don't say anything, and then an hour or 2 hours or a day later or a week later, for whatever reason, your brain goes back to that conversation, and then you're like, that would have been the perfect response in that situation. That guy is me, pretty much all the time. I feel like I have a lot to say, and I have these ideas and concepts, but I don't really get the words out until it's too late, until the time has passed or the moment has passed. And then that's actually why I began writing in the first place, because I would always say, I can't really bring up the right thoughts and the right words in the moment, but if you give me an hour or two or a day or a week, I can take my ideas and put them onto paper, and that will accurately express what it was that I wanted to convey. I just couldn't be that on-the-spot, witty, pithy guy. I just had to, I just couldn't do it. The words would never come out, and I ended up sounding stupid most of the time. These days, I try to put my stupid forward so that I can eventually stop tripping over myself. The point being, I get many of my best retorts or many of my best phrases or just ideas and I find the right words after the conversation has happened or after the moment has passed. I'm trying to get away from that to be able to speak in the here and now because the feeling of what I should say is there. Like, there's the feeling, you know how you can't express that feeling in words, and then the words come later? I'm trying to bridge that gap to where you have the feeling and then you know what words to use in that instant as well. For now, that's actually all that I have, because I wanted this to be a short and sweet video. So that's going to be that. I guess this is sort of a practice video for me to speak and practice speaking and know why I'm and to refresh on why I'm practicing speaking. That's my expression for today. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you sat through that whole thing, that essay does not have an easy to find URL, but if you go to the archive on thepowerfulmind.com and then hit page 12, that's where it is, somewhere. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.